How does it feel to be in a train? What could be the experience of being in a train for more than 24 hours moving from one city to another? In this video, we'll take you through the best ever rail trip experience you could ever think of. If you've been living in your country for your whole life, chances are that the beauty of the outside world is something you would love to explore with your own eyes. Traveling is great since it opens our minds to new physical but also mental territories. But one quiet, classic, and old way to move from one location to another is the use of trains. Some of these beautiful machines take us through mind-blowing journeys. So in this video, we at Great Grand Adventures will take you through some of the best rail trips in the world. Before we get into the video, be sure to subscribe and leave a comment below, "I subscribed." We will try to personally reply to each and every one of your comments. Grab your seat and let's go on this pleasant journey. Number 10. Bilbao to Faro, Spain. This rail trip is one of the best in Spain. Throughout the journey, you will discover and enjoy the view of medieval towns, fishing villages and beaches. The route skirts the coast and twists inland through green valleys. The trip is usually taken by locals and will take about 12.5 hours, logging 267 miles. This rural journey will bring you back to the freshness of nature, far from the stress of metropolis lifestyle. To enjoy this European trip, you will spend a minimum of $70 and about $100 for a 30-day free pass for those of you who will want to explore the place in depth. Number 9. Oslo Bergen Railway. Building this railroad has been a real struggle between man and nature and will probably continue to be one. The railroad connects the capital of Norway and its second city on the west coast. Any train passing on this line will also go through the cold and remote Hardangervidda, Europe's most eroded plain. The density of the place might actually get you a little bit scared. A few minutes into the trip, you will think that the earth is dominating the journey, not realizing that in the next 20 minutes, you'll see yourself surrounded by water with very little space for the ground or even the rails. But it is a very nice experience, and since the authorities aren't banning the trip, you should definitely go and feel the trail over there. A direct train for this trip can cost you on average $30 and take you about 12 hours. Number 8. Aurora Winter Train, Alaska. This is an uncommon tip of a rail trip. The Aurora Winter Train operates from mid-September to mid-May, joining together Anchorage and Fairbanks and offering flag stop service between Talkeetna and Hurricane. Due to the nature of flag stop service, the schedule may vary depending on the number of stops, so it might be very advisable to check the operationality of the trains on the railroad before booking a trip. Let not this discourage you, because when the train is working, you can really appreciate the beauty of Alaska, its mountains, and what makes it a paradise during winter. This Alaska trip is a half-day journey and can cost you anything from $100. Number 7. Kapiri-Mposhi to Dar es Salaam, Zambia and Tanzania. The railway journey, also known as TAZARA Journey, takes approximately 46 hours between Dar es Salaam and New Kapiri-Mposhi. In most instances, the passenger trains pass through specific areas along the line to enable passengers' view of the magnificent scenery, game, and other attractions. This is a very fun trip with a beautiful African view to enjoy. Your 1,156-mile journey will be an amazing safari experience where you can spot wild animals like elephants, rhinos, hippos, lions, giraffes, zebras, and more. This African atmosphere trip averagely costs $50. Number 6. Trans Mongolian. The Trans Mongolian can be considered at some extent as the most unique rail trip in the world. This construction dates back to the 17th century. That's a really long time. The train has been a key road for traders transporting coffee, cereals, and other valuable goods between Moscow and Beijing. A real 7-day experience that will make you discover places of Asia that very few people will ever see. But apart from the historical existence of the railway and how it has been an engine of growth, the beauty of Asia will be revealed to you on this 7-day trip. You'll see Asia beyond the jet li and martial arts. A trip on the Trans Mongolian will cost you about $1,100 when you want to enjoy it in a luxurious train atmosphere, a real first-class berth. Since we're talking about continents here, type your favorite continent in the comments section. Let us know which continent has the most fans in the house. Number 5. Reunification Express. The Reunification Express, as its name states, symbolizes how railroads have the ability to connect places that were for a long time believed to be unconnectable. This railway, also known as the Trans-Indochina, has been built to connect the north and the south of Vietnam. It was built in 1936, but later destroyed during the Vietnam War. Thankfully and surprisingly enough, the 267-mile railway was re-established 2 years after the end of the war, therefore symbolizing the reunification of the country. This surely shows that after a war, things can surely be fixed. The pricing here is based on age group and the season and therefore quite unstable. However, anything from $20 on will do it. Number 4. Northern Explorer, New Zealand. Finally completed in 1908, the North Island Main Trunk Railway was a very complex project. New Zealand's North Island is a volatile place. Early engineers had to negotiate gully-sliced plateaus and active volcanoes in order to link Auckland and Wellington. Today, the line's big windowed panorama carriages slice through Hobbiton-like green hills and undulating farmland, past smoky mountains and rocky shores, and traverse some man-made marvels. The railway is about 400 miles, taking approximately 11 hours to cross. A beautiful exploration on the Northern Explorer will cost about $115. Number 3. Copper Canyon Railway, Mexico. Back in the old days and even today, when you find minerals somewhere, you also need to think about routes to bring them to the market. That was the case of the Spanish conquistadors who found silver in northern Mexico's Copper Canyon in the 17th century and had to employ mules and the local Ramaruri people to haul out their spoils. The railway took almost 90 years to complete the line and finally opened in 1961. On its dramatic journey, El Chepe has to negotiate 87 tunnels, 36 bridges, and sweeping hairpin bends as it climbs from sea level to the rim-top views. The trip will cost you $100 in economy class and about $200 as a tourist in first class. Number 2. Xining to Lhasa, China, Tibet. The Qinghai Tibet Railway is the highest in the world, climbing to a breathtaking 5,231 meters at the Tanggula Pass. It is the major link to Lhasa from several major Chinese cities, including Beijing and Shanghai. The train carriages do have oxygen pumped into them, though, and extra oxygen tubes for passengers. If you are going to use the train from Xining to Lhasa as a foreigner, it is very advisable to have everything prepared by a local agency to avoid any trouble on such a long journey. In the train, you are surely going to enjoy the frozen rivers with a backdrop of snow-covered peaks. Future plans include an extension line to the subtropical town of Jiangmu in Nepal. This Asian trip will cost you about $80. Number 1. California Zephyr. The California Zephyr has a very special meaning for Americans. It is not only about the journey or the demographics, but also a real dream coming true, a symbol of hope and unification. Before the railroad was constructed in 1969, it was impossible to easily go from the west coast to the east. Therefore, after the construction of these lines, anyone could really appreciate the beauty of the union from both the east and west side. The road trip is 2,438 miles and could take you approximately 3 days. The cheapest ticket for that trip costs about $7, and the most expensive one is around $330. Take this trip and feel the American dream of connecting regions at its peak. This brings us to the end of this video. Now, we would love to hear from you. What has been the longest trip you ever took on a train? Please feel free to share your experience in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please click that like button and subscribe to get notified about the latest videos and travel trends. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.